As I was standing up here in the barn, my gears started turning about a video idea. So this is going to be completely just me blabbing. I'm going to try to cut it up as best as I can, but this is unscripted, so stick with me. In one of my recent videos, I talked about how to sell hay, how to make money selling hay. Went through the different processes, you know, selling at auction, selling privately, wholesale, retail, and also kind of the steps it takes to make it in an efficient manner so that you can, you know, your margins are big enough to make a profit. So this video is kind of going to be a little bit more in depth on that. And I really want to specifically talk about the quality of hay and quality control and how that really affects the hay that you sell. So one of the major factors when it comes to making a profit and making hay is the quality of your hay. You could have really junk hay, like stemmy, full of weeds, bleached out hay. It's not going to sell great. And then you can have next to that super green, beautiful, good smelling, weed free hay, which is going to sell tremendously better. There's going to be a huge price difference in that kind of hay. For example, this right here in front of us is alfalfa orchard grass mix. This hay's got a lot of alfalfa. If you break it open, there's a lot of alfalfa leaves in there, and there's a lot of grass, as you can see in here as well. This load of hay is specifically targeted towards the horse farmer. It is alfalfa grass mix, bone dry, no weeds. There is no problem with this hay whatsoever. Because of that, when I took it to auction, I ended up getting $500 a ton for it. Now, part of that, I was in the right place at the right time, but I also had a good product. That back stack right there is third cutting, which is the cutting before fourth cutting here. And as you can see, those layers, they are nice and green. That hay is actually a little bit better quality because it had a little bit more leaf retention and there was a little bit more grass in it, which made it a little bit higher yielding. So what I'm really trying to stress here is that the quality of your hay is going to play a huge factor in determining your profits and your margins. Our operation is a newer farm. We started farming here just a few years ago. So because of that, there's a lot of input costs and a lot of capital required to start the farm, build it, and kind of build up an infrastructure that allows the farm to run in an efficient manner. Now, because we're a small starting farm, we don't have a huge amount of acres, but we still have all that overhead. So how do we as the farmer try to minimize that overhead and try to make that number get smaller year by year without, you know, losing tons and tons of money? Well, the answer to that is quality and quality control. Because we don't have a huge amount of acres, I have enough time to spend more time on less acres, right? So I can put all my time and effort into making small quantities of quality hay rather than making large quantities of lower quality hay. I feel like right now is a good time to do a quick explanation of why quality matters. On this piece of paper right here, I have written down the bales that I made last year off of 8 acres roughly, and the different prices given the quality of the bale. So last year, the hay that I made to sell, I made off of only 8 acres. We have 2 alfalfa grass fields, alfalfa orchard grass fields that total 8 acres. If you look behind me in these videos, all that hay in the back there is from those fields. I made roughly 1,600 bales, but for the purpose of the math, we're just going to say I made 1,500 bales. If I made those bales in a sloppy manner, meaning I just mowed it and tedded it and just didn't really care how it looked. I didn't care about leaf quality or leaf retention or sun bleach or moisture or a lot of other things. If I just made it in a sloppy manner and I made poor quality bales, the hay would obviously be poor quality. For alfalfa grass hay that's just really poor quality, I said that the hay would be worth $6 a bale. If I made 1,500 bales at $6 a bale, that would come out to approximately $9,000. Oh, $9,000, that's a lot of hay off of 8 acres. That seems like pretty good profit. Well, here's the thing. For me to run over all of those acres with my equipment and the time and labor that is in that, that's a fixed cost. That's a fixed expense. So whether I spend the time and methodically make the hay or I just go out and do it sloppily or lackadaisically, is that even a word? I don't know. If I do it in a sloppy manner versus if I did it methodically, it's still going to cost me the same because I'm still going to run over it roughly the same amount of times and I'm still going to spend roughly the same amount of time doing it and the same amount of fuel and everything. So there's a fixed cost there. Say I have $5,000 worth of expenses over the season to make that hay, that only leaves me with $4,000 in profit left. So then I did the math off of what I actually was selling that hay for. I made some pretty good hay this year. I did it in a methodical manner because I don't have a lot of acres, right? So I had plenty of time and the ability to make the hay in a methodical manner to make sure that I could do everything in my power to make good hay. Obviously, there are variables like the weather and breakdowns and other things that you can't control, but I did everything that I could control to make good quality hay, and it turned out really good, most of it. I was selling the hay out of that barn for $8 a bale. That's what I had it listed for at retail price. Now I took some to auction and it came out to less, like maybe $6.50 to $7 a bale. But in general, I was selling that hay for around $8 a bale. If you do the math, 1,500 bales times $8 a bale is $12,000. That is $3,000 more dollars than what I would make if I just made crappy, sloppy hay. So that is the importance of focusing on quality, especially at our level. We're making small bales for the horse market. It's a niche operation. We don't have huge equipment. We don't have huge acres. We're not overly efficient because we're doing small bales. So there's kind of a lot more manpower and labor kind of involved to do that sort of thing. So the quality of that hay is really important for us, because if we make bad quality hay, we're not making money. If we make good quality hay, we're making more money. Now, there's a lot of other variables that go into making high quality hay, whether that be like fertilizer and spraying and liming and those sort of things. But even just, you know, making sure that you're baling it at the right time, or raking it or tedding it, and you're just being methodical in what you're doing, you can make good quality hay even without spraying and doing some fertilizing. So that's why it's important that I focus on quality of the hay. Those extra $3,000 will go a long way in paying for fuel or labor or maybe an occasional breakdown. And that's why on our farm, it's crucial that we focus on hay quality. Now, at some point, I'm going to have to start running more acres in order for me to make some sort of profit every year, because we spend a lot of money in building this infrastructure and having this equipment in this barn and the land and the money we put into the land to maintain it and make it better, right? With the equipment that we bought, with all that capital and inputs at the beginning, we have the capabilities to run a lot more acres. We have a tractor that's 100 horsepower, and I can put that thing in third gear high, and I can mow down a lot of hay pretty quick. We have a 4-star tedder, which isn't the biggest tedder, but I can actually get through and move some hay pretty quick with that thing. The rake, that's a little bit of a bottleneck, but we're working on that. And the baler, I've learned that I can throw some hay pretty quickly through this thing. So as far as acres, we are capable of running more acres. So that is the thing. How do you make quality hay and increase your acres without losing quality? Because sometimes as farms get bigger, as they increase all this stuff, they start to lose the quality of it and they start to lose efficiency. So how do we maintain an efficient operation and still maintain quality while increasing quantity? Honestly, that's the age-old question that I'm still asking myself right now. Farming is a game where you always have to be thinking years in advance. So currently, like I said, this year we're planting a bunch of new hay here this year, but in my mind, I'm thinking years ahead. There's a lot going on, and it all circles back to quality. I don't want to disregard the quality of my hay as I grow bigger, right? Bigger isn't necessarily always better. I can make some pretty good hay with how I sit now. The thing is, though, the capital and the inputs that we put into it at the beginning to build this infrastructure, we are capable of running a lot more hay. And we need to be running a few more acres in order for this equipment and the infrastructure to pay for itself, pay for my time, and make money on top of it. So I know this video was kind of somewhat confusing. I was a little bit all over the place, but the name of the game is make sure you're maintaining quality. Now, there are a couple niche operations where quality is not the concern. If you're making mushroom hay, there's a lot of guys around here that make mushroom hay and mushroom straw. So they have these massive 4x4 balers, and they are just baling large quantities of this stuff, but they're very efficient operations. It does not cost them necessarily as much per acre to bale that. So they need a lot of acres to create that tonnage of hay. They're going for tonnage. They're not going for quality. There are some operations where maybe you're just a beef operation and you're making hay for beef, or maybe you're a hay operation that makes beef hay. You know, you're not necessarily needing to make the highest quality hay. It's okay if it gets rained on once, or it's okay if you lost a little leaf, or it's okay if it has a couple weeds in it because you're feeding it to beef. So there are different applications for everything, but for our operation, we want to maintain quality because that's how we make our money, is through the quality of hay. So down the road, we need to be thinking about how do we increase our quantity while still maintaining this quality of hay. In farming, there's a lot of decisions, and most of those decisions relate back to how do we make a profit as a farm. So for us, every decision right now currently is kind of relating back to that. We were just at a farm show yesterday. We were looking at equipment. Obviously, we weren't going to buy anything. We weren't serious about buying anything, but we were thinking about, years in advance. We were looking at, pool type sprayers. We were looking at bale accumulators. We were looking at a new hay rake. What are some things that are going to increase the efficiency of our operation and allow us to make larger quantities of high quality hay? You know, for example, one of those things would be a twin rotary rake or a bigger rake. That would allow us to let the hay dry longer on the ground because we can come through and rake it quicker. So that would be one thing. Another thing would be, like I said, the accumulator. If we were to get one, what would be the best for our operation? What would we have to do to make it so we can do that? We would have to get a grabber for the loader tractor. We'd have to get flatbed wagons, obviously the accumulator. There's a lot of things that go into it, but obviously all of those decisions and things we're thinking about are ways that we can make the operation more efficient and more profitable in the long run. So that's the thing. Farming is a long game. It's a marathon. You know, I can't just sit here on this pile of hay and be like, you know what? We need to make a profit today. Let me just go and sell all 1,000 bales of this stuff and make $10,000 today. No, it's not like that. You know, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. You know, we got to find buyers. Sometimes I take it to auction. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some. So there's just so many decisions that go into farming and making hay and making a profit in the hay industry. But like I said at the beginning of the video, kind of the name of the game, you know, when you're getting into hay, the name of the game for haying is quality. So if you can make some quality hay at the beginning, learn how to make quality hay, and then from there scale it, you're going to be better off and making a profit. So hopefully this video was somewhat helpful. I honestly don't know what I'm going to title this video or how I'm going to market this video to you guys, because I was really just rambling and my gears started turning, and a lot of decisions are happening right now. It's winter time and a lot of farm decisions happen. So if you have any questions or if there's any concerns about what I said, let me know in the comments below. I'm sure I'll make more of these types of videos where I just start blabbing to the camera. But name of the game, make quality hay, figure out how to scale that operation while maintaining efficiency and, you know, obviously not losing a bunch of money. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. If you stuck this far, give it a like if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.